All right, and we are back here on the GSMC Football Podcast. And for the fourth part of the show, we are going to now get into talking about the Jets and their most recent loss to the Indianapolis Colts. So, Anthony Richardson back in as the starter for the Colts after being benched the last two games. You know, he had the incident where he tapped out of the game against the Texans. So the Colts went to Joe Flacco to try to provide a spark, and they didn't really get it. They lost their next two games of Flacco, so now they went back to Richardson against the Jets. And, I didn't really know what to expect from this game. I mean, I thought it would be close, which is what ended up happening. And the Jets ended up losing in a game where they, again, could have won. They could have very easily won this game, but it didn't happen. And it kind of went similar to the Texans game, except they won against the Texans, where the Jets offense just couldn't get anything going. I think they didn't pick up a first down until the 2-minute warning in the first half, or close to the end of the first half, really. And it's more of the same. This was one of those games where the Jets, either took the lead or, extended the lead, and then the defense just lets the opposing offense go right down the field and score a touchdown to win the game. And that's what happened. And this season has been a colossal failure for the Jets. And this is a team that I was dead wrong about in every way, because I was hoping that they would be a playoff team. I picked them to win their division. And not only are they not going to win the division, they're not going to make the playoffs. They're not going to finish in second. Might finish in third. But they could even finish in last place in the AFC East. That's how bad it is. It has been horrible. And again, this is another situation where I really want to see what happens at the end of the year. What are they going to do? Is Aaron Rodgers coming back? What are they going to do with this team? I mean, you got Jet fans saying that they would trade Sauce Gardner or Ahmed Gardner, that they would they would trade whoever and start over. Draft a quarterback, start over, let Rodgers go, Joe Douglas is gone, start fresh. I don't know. I really don't know what's going to happen. But we'll have to wait and see. But we still got some time to go. We still got another full month of football left, regular season football, before we, see what ends up happening. But anyways, let's kind of go through it. So, yeah, the Jets, a lot of punts. A lot of punts in the first half. You had the Colts go down the field and score the first points of the game on their first drive. They went 9 plays, 57 yards. You had a Matt Gay 41-yard field goal. More punts. Then the Colts went up 10-0. I thought that the Jets were going to get blown out at this point. Anthony Richardson from 2 yards out scores a touchdown. And then we go to the second quarter. The Jets turned it over on downs. They went for it on 4th and 1 from their own 39. And they did. I don't know why teams are doing this. I mean, sometimes, there were times it works. But they had a direct snap to Tyler Conklin on 4th and 1, and he doesn't pick it up. And then that turned into another Matt Gay field goal. This was a 47-yarder. More punts. Then the Jets actually got on the board. Aaron Rodgers connected with Breece Hall for a 29-yard touchdown, and that made it 13-7. Then the Colts turned it over on downs, and that was the end of the first half. Then Jets get off to a good start. The Colts get the ball, and then they sack Anthony Richardson. He loses the ball. It's recovered by Javon Kinlaw, and then that leads to another Breece Hall touchdown from 18 yards out. Then the Colts take back the lead. Matt Gay kicks a 56-yard field goal, so he had a really good game. Then a couple of punts. Then the Jets answer. You had an Anders Carlson 58-yard field goal, the former Packer. So that made it 17-16. then a punt by the Colts, and then the Jets went up by 8. They put together a 6-play, 59-yard drive, 24 yards to Devontae Adams on this drive, another 16 by Breece Hall, and then Rodgers connects with Yeboah for an 11-yard touchdown. So that made it 24-16, and you thought, okay, maybe the Jets could pull this off. Then the Colts score a touchdown on their next drive. They go 8 plays, 70 yards. Anthony Richardson connects with Josh Downs for a 10-yard touchdown. They go for 2. They don't get it. And then this is what a lot of people are talking about. The Jets, they do kick a field goal on their next drive. They went 13 plays, 53 yards, burned a lot of clock. But it was 4th and 2. And originally, the Jets looked like maybe they were going to go for it. But then they ended up electing to go for the field goal. And a lot of people are saying, and Rodgers was talking about it, how, there was some miscommunication, that he wanted to go for it, but I guess he was saying it wasn't his call. But, I mean, if you wanted to go for it, go for it. Why electing to go for the field goal then? Go for it. But they didn't, and then what ends up happening? The Colts go right down the field. 6 plays, 70 yards, 39 yards to Alec Pierce, another 17 to Josh Downs, and then eventually they get down to 3rd and goal from the Jets 4, and Anthony Richardson scores from 4 yards out. They go for 2. They don't get it. Jets get the ball. Rodgers fumbles on the first play, but Tyler Conklin gets the ball. Then there was a penalty, and then there was another sack of Rodgers to end the game, and that was it. Jets lose 28-27. Colts improved to 5-6 on the season. Jets dropped to 3-8. Rodgers went 22 of 29 for 184 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. Breece Hall, 16 carries for 78 yards and a touchdown. Devontae Adams, 6 for 72. Garrett Wilson only had 4 receptions for 18 yards. The Jets defense, 2 sacks of Anthony Richardson. As for Anthony Richardson, had a good game. He had 2 rushing touchdowns. He went 20 of 30 for 272 yards, a touchdown, and no picks. Jonathan Taylor had 57 yards on the ground. Josh Downs, 5 receptions for 84 yards and a touchdown. The Colts have some good young receivers on this team. A.D. Mitchell had 1 catch for 33 yards, but he looks like he's going to be a good player. Alec Pierce has had a good year, 3 receptions for 74 yards in this game. You paid Michael Pittman, who hasn't been great, but you got him. You got Josh Downs. So, you got to like the Colts pass catchers. Richardson had a couple of fumbles. He lost one, and the Colts defense, 3 sacks on the day. But, yeah, they improved to 5-6. They're not out of it by any means. And it looks like maybe that time off did help Anthony Richardson. So, and then as for the Jets, the bye week comes at a great time. And then when they come out of it, you got the Dolphins twice. You got the Seahawks right out of the bye, who we just talked about. You got the Dolphins twice, the Jags, the Rams, and the Bills in Buffalo. So the Jets are looking at maybe like 11 or 12 losses on the year. And wouldn't surprise me if they lose the rest of their games. It's just, when they were 2-1, you had to feel really good. The defense looked good. Rodgers played well, even though it was against the Patriots. You thought they were going to start, trending up. And ever since that Denver game, it just went downhill. It went downhill. And they have not recovered. And, then they get rid of Robert Saleh. And, look, Robert Saleh was not a good head coach. But the timing of it looks really bad right now. They should have just finished out the year with him and then let him go after. Because Jeff Ulbrich, it's not his fault either. He got thrown into it. He's not a head coach. And, when you got to do a presentation on tackling, it's not a good sign. And I still don't know what happened to this Jets defense. What really surprises me is the Jets defense and how bad it is this year. The run defense has been horrendous. They can't tackle, like I just mentioned. Guys just regressed. I don't. There were a couple of guys that they let go or traded this offseason. Maybe you shouldn't have let those guys go. It's just, I don't know what happened. And also, with the offense, Aaron Rodgers does not throw the ball down the field. It's a lot of checkdowns. It's Tom Brady from 2022. That's what it is. That's what it is. It's a lot of checkdowns. He's not throwing the ball deep. And I don't think it's because he can't throw it deep. It's just he doesn't want to get hit. And that's why he's got to get rid of the ball quickly. And I don't really know what the Jets are going to do. Is he going to come back? I mean, pretty much every Jet fan that I'm around says they don't want him back. So, we'll see what ends up happening if they're able to get out of it. But this really was a colossal failure. And there's a lot of blame to go around. It's not one individual. It's not just on Rodgers. It's on the Jets as well. It's a collective blame. But, he hasn't been great this year. But, again, there's a lot of other components of this team that haven't been great either. The defense, the coaching. And I agree, though, with the fact that if they actually had a good head coach in place, some of these close games, like this game the other day, they don't lose that game. They don't lose that game. They win that game. They maybe win the game against Buffalo. Well, then again, you kind of blame that on Zerline a little bit. Against the Patriots, you probably win that game. I mean, at least if you take the Patriots game and this game, the Jets are 5-6. And, they're still in it. If they had a competent head coach, and if Greg Zuerlein was the Greg Zuerlein of last year, the Jets would be right in it. But they're not. Even with Aaron Rodgers playing the way he is. And that's the thing. Aaron Rodgers was not brought here to play, like an MVP. They were just asking for him to be average. Because they had a good defense, special teams were good, whatever. But now he's playing below average, or even though his numbers aren't terrible. Like if you looked at his numbers, they really aren't that bad. It's just, but when you watch the games, it's a lot of checkdowns. It's just not. There's no deep ball. He can't extend the play anymore. He can't run around, and that's what made him special. Part of what made him special, because he can throw from the pocket. It's just, a lot of times, he'd have to scramble around and throw on the run and throw these darts, and he just can't do it anymore on a consistent basis. Well, throwing those darts. I mean, obviously he can't really extend the play like he used to, but I mean, he still has. There is still something there. It's just, it's not on a consistent basis, and it's just a lost year. This is going to go down as his worst year ever. And it's unfortunate because you didn't want to see him go out like he did last year, but I mean, if he goes out like this, I mean, it's unfortunate. But this is what happened, and I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what the Jets are going to do, but there's definitely going to be some changes that need to be made. And Rodgers being let go, regardless of what happens, that's going to be part of those changes. Because I don't know how you can go through another year of this. Now, if you draft a quarterback and you let him sit behind Rodgers, okay, that kind of makes sense. But he's going to want to buy into that. I don't know. It's just unfortunate because I wanted to see him have a good year and the Jets do well, but I basically got a pie thrown in my face, thinking that it was going to be possible. But the other thing too is, like I said, I got engulfed by the storm and spit out. So, but if Rodgers does come back next year, I mean, we'll see. If that does happen, and depending on what they do at head coach, I don't know. But either way, I'm not going to be high on the Jets if they bring in a good head coach and Rodgers comes back and they can fix the offensive line. I'm going to have to temper my expectations a little bit because another year like this could happen. But again, that's down the line. We're talking about hypotheticals. We got to see what happens first, and then we go from there. But right now, this season has been an absolute disaster for the Jets. So I was wrong about him. I was wrong. So we're going to take our final break of the show. Again, let me know what you guys think about this game or your takeaways from it. When we come back, we'll actually talk about a surprise team, another team I was wrong about, and that was the Denver Broncos. So we'll talk about them and their win over the Falcons. So with that being said, stick around, and we'll be right back here on the GSMC Football Podcast.